too big to make in one piece, and so they're made in sections. Where the sections are joined, it is impossible to get a tight, perfect seal between two huge pieces of metal, and so they put flexible seals called O-rings between the sections to fill in any cracks that may occur. A lot of evidence now suggests that one of these rings failed, melted perhaps, and allowed fires to shoot out sidewise through the crack. A commission appointed by President Reagan has been investigating this and other questions all week. Before we talk to our guests, some background on this from Jack Smith. Jack?
Commission, come to order, please.
David, it was the only show in town, if not in the country this week, and the President's Commission on the Shuttle disaster saw its best evidence yet of what may have occurred. Photographs of the shuttle showing a puff of black smoke from the suspect Wright booster rocket at the moment of launch itself.
We feel that that's a leak, may or may not be related to temperature, and we feel it's coming out of the most likely spot is the joint between the aft booster and the aft segment.
It's widely believed now that a seal gave way in a joint in one of the rocket boosters, and that this caused the plume of white-hot exhaust gas later in flight, which apparently touched off the explosion that destroyed Challenger and its crew of 7. It was originally seen exclusively as a case of equipment failure, but this week's hearings revealed a failure in human communications as well. NASA, it turns out, knew for years the seals were flawed, and the night before launch, warnings the shuttle could explode were disregarded. Monday, January 27th, a scheduled launch is aborted because of bad weather. The temperature turns cold, so cold that night foot-long icicles begin forming on the pad. Engineers at Morton Thiokol, which manufactures the boosters, call a teleconference and unanimously recommend against launch the next day.
I made the direct statement that if anything happened to this launch, told them I sure wouldn't want to be the person that had to stand in front of a board of inquiry to explain why I launched this outside of the qualification of the solid rocket motor.
There was never one positive pro-launch statement ever made by anybody.
On previous flights, Thiokol engineers had noticed that in cold weather, the 2 rubber O-rings used to seal the booster's joints tended to fail. With launch temperatures predicted in the 30s, 20 degrees colder than ever experienced, they feared a leak and an explosion. But NASA managers in the East strongly objected, and after a heated debate lasting much of the evening, Thiokol management in Utah overruled its engineers, and Thiokol Vice President Joe Kilminster sent NASA the authorization to launch. As for NASA, it denied using pressure, but the commission was still baffled.
Did any of you gentlemen, prior to launch, know about the objections of Thiokol to the launch?
I did not.
Senior NASA officials were never told.
Mr. Reinhardt, are you telling us that you, in fact, are the person who made the decision not to escalate this to a level 2 item?
That's correct, sir.
If this were an airplane, an airliner, and I just had a 2-hour argument with Boeing on whether the wing was going to fall off or not, I think I'd tell the pilot, at least mention it.
I had none of the knowledge of any dissension that was going on within the internal discussion at Thiokol. None of that was available.
The hearings revealed that problems with the O-ring seals should have been well known. As recently as last July, engineers at Thiokol had written warnings to their superiors.
We stand in jeopardy of losing a flight along with all the launch pad facilities.
Now, was any warning or flavor of that very serious letter transmitted to anyone at NASA, to your knowledge?
No, sir, not that letter.
I had never considered the seals as a threat to flight safety because I thought adequate margin was available.
Yet NASA itself, in this report 3 years ago, concluded the seals were weak and could cause loss of mission, vehicle, and crew. The commission also learned that a second contractor had objected to launch. Icing on the pad was so severe that Rockwell, which makes the orbiter, feared damage to the shuttle from debris during ignition. But this is what happened to Rockwell's views as they were passed down the line.
I then called my 2 program managers who were in Florida at 5:45. And they said, we cannot recommend launching from here.
I said that Rockwell could not assure the safety of flight.
My interpretation of the input that was made to me
in the mission management team meeting that I described is that a concern was voiced, and it was not an objection to launch.
Does everybody know what everybody else is recommending? Does everybody have the facts?
Clearly not. But since NASA's own ICE team later cleared the launch, it was a moot point. However, it was more evidence that something was wrong.
You'll remember that I did say at one point that we thought the decision-making process may be flawed. I believe I'm speaking for the whole commission when I say that we think it is flawed.
But as the commission members adjourned for the week, the NASA managers whose testimony had so disturbed them seemed wholly unrepentant.
I'm not sure what Mr. Rogers means in terms of the decision process being flawed. I do not believe that the decision process that I know and understand to be flawed.
I know that the decisions that I made based on the data that we had up to January the 27th and through the launch count up until the liftoff occurred on January 28th, that all the actions were proper.
We thought that the problem was acceptable and did not endanger the safety of flight.
NASA Administrator James Beggs resigned this week, though for reasons unrelated to the shuttle disaster. With faith in NASA's infallibility now diminished, if not extinct, the commission may conclude that some redesigning is required, not only on the shuttle, but on NASA's hierarchy, too. David?